So, how does one qualify to be elected and to occupy a seat, either in the National Assembly or the provincial legislature? In other words, how do independent candidates or political party candidates get their names on the ballot paper for us to vote for them? Well, this happens through nomination. For political party candidates, the nomination is through a political party list. And for independent candidates, the nomination is from individual citizens. But how does this nomination process work? Before an election, the IEC, which is responsible for running elections in South Africa, requires political parties to submit a list of candidates in order of preference for both the 200 compensatory seats reserved for political parties in the National Assembly, as well as for the other 200 regional seats in the National Assembly, which can be occupied by either political party or independent candidates. Similar lists are also submitted to the IEC by political parties for the seats in the provincial legislatures. The implication of this IEC requirement is that political parties will use their own criteria to rank their candidates for submission to the IEC. These criteria vary from one political party to the next. They might be the result of an internal party selection process in which party members nominate the leaders that they want to stand in the elections as their representatives. Other parties might have open nomination processes in which leaders throughout society can make themselves available to be candidates under the banner of their political party. The IEC requires that these candidates be members of the party for which they have been nominated to stand. In other political parties, the ranking of candidates is determined by the existing hierarchy in the party's leadership structures. And in others still, there may be other criteria, including assessments of a candidate's competency or of their record in service to the party. Whatever these criteria may be, the law allows political parties to determine for themselves and inform their members about how their nomination process will unfold. When it comes to independent candidates, the IEC requires that they submit evidence that a minimum of 1,000 adult South African citizens who are registered to vote support their nomination to contest a seat in the National Assembly or the provincial legislature. The IEC uses a prescribed process for the submission of names of both political party candidates and independent candidates. This includes a nomination form, a predetermined amount as a deposit, together with the signatures of the people who support them. Political parties that already have representation in the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures are not required to submit signatures of their supporters. However, new political parties and those that do not have representation are required to submit 15% of the previous election's quota in supporter signatures for a seat in the National Assembly or the provincial legislatures. This means that if the number of votes required to secure a seat in the National Assembly was 92,601 in the previous elections, new parties and those that don't have any representation in the legislature would need to submit 13,890 signatures of registered South African voters who support their candidacy for the national and provincial elections. It is very important to note that anyone who has been nominated to contest the elections, either through the political party list process or as an independent candidate, must accept their nomination in writing. They must also agree in writing that they will abide by the Electoral Code of Conduct. For political parties, a leader or an office bearer in the party needs to sign and agree that the party's representatives and their members will abide by the Code of Conduct. This same person must also sign another document stating that every candidate on their party list is eligible to run for election in line with the Constitution and the relevant laws. This takes us to the legal requirements for candidates to contest elections. Before contesting, both independent and political party candidates must hold South African citizenship and be 18 years or older. They must have no record of being insolvent, bankrupt, or unrehabilitated. They must have no history of being declared of unsound mind by a court of law, and they must not have been convicted of a crime with a sentence of more than 12 months in prison after 1996. In addition, those contesting seats in the provincial legislatures must reside in the province where they intend to contest. The roles held by elected officials are critically important and should be occupied by people of integrity, regardless of their political affiliations. Entrusted with billions of rands in state funding, infrastructure, and with a population of over 60 million people, it is important that the people we elect to hold positions in the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures are honest, law-abiding, and ethical.